Hey everyone, welcome to another deep dive. This time, we're going to explore methylation. Kind of inspired by Joe Rogan's podcast. You know Joe Rogan?
Yeah, I know Joe Rogan, of course.
Well, he had human biologist Gary Brecka on. And Rogan, he's into health and all that stuff, fitness and optimization. And he was like super fascinated by Brecka's approach to all this. It's pretty unconventional,
Yeah.
And Brecka has this interesting background. He actually spent years just analyzing medical records in the insurance industry.
Oh, wow. Okay, so he's coming at this from a data perspective, though.
Yeah, exactly. Like hard data.
Yeah.
Not just like what you read in textbooks,
That's really cool. So he's probably seen patterns and stuff that doctors might miss.
That's exactly what I was thinking. He's like a detective almost, right? Finding clues. And the results he's seen with this methylation focus are pretty amazing. I mean, we're talking potential improvements for like energy levels, chronic conditions, all sorts of things. We might unlock a secret code to better health, like for you listening.
Unlocking a secret code? I like that. It's not just about accepting how we are, but understanding how things work at like a deeper level.
Right, exactly. So first things first, what even is methylation? Well, Brecka explained it to Rogan using this analogy, and I love a good analogy. He said it's kind of like refining crude oil into gasoline.
Okay, yeah, I get that. Crude oil's no good until it's refined, right? So it's making something usable.
Exactly. Methylation's like that, but for our bodies. It takes the nutrients, the stuff we eat, and it makes them actually usable for ourselves.
So you can eat all the right stuff, but if your methylation's messed up.
It's like having a Ferrari, but filling it with mud. Right.
Yeah.
It ain't going anywhere.
Perfect analogy.
And Brecka believes optimizing this whole process can have huge GE effects on your health. And he's got a great story to prove it. Have you ever heard of Dana White?
Yeah, of course, the UFC guy, right?
Yep, president of the UFC. But a few years back, Dana White was struggling big time. High blood pressure, sleep apnea, pre-diabetic, the whole 9 yards. He was on like a ton of medication, miserable.
It's kind of what we see a lot, right? Treat the symptoms, but not the root cause.
And that's exactly what Brecka thinks was up. His body just wasn't using nutrients right, leading to all those problems. So Brecka puts him on a special diet, some targeted supplements, some lifestyle changes, all focused on those methylation deficiencies.
And what happened? Tell me it got better.
Dude, his blood pressure went back to normal. He lost weight, sleep apnea gone, off all meds. Like, what?
Dang. That's amazing. So what kind of specific things, like where does methylation really matter?
Well, one big area is heart health, specifically blood pressure. Brecka actually thinks a lot of high blood pressure cases aren't just like age or whatever, but because methylation's off.
Interesting. So how does that work?
Okay, so he uses this example of homocysteine. It's an amino acid everyone's got in their blood. But if it's not broken down right, it gets all inflammatory. Like imagine tiny shards of glass in your arteries. That's what he said.
Ouch. Okay, I get it. So that inflammation leads to blood pressure issues. Makes sense.
Right. And the key to breaking down that homocysteine is this gene called MTHFR.
Okay, genes, those things tell our bodies how to do stuff, like build proteins and all those important things, right?
Exactly. And the MTHFR gene, its job is to convert homocysteine into a good guy amino acid called methionine. But here's the kicker. A lot of people have a mutation in this gene. Like Brecka said, maybe 40 to 60% of people.
Wow, that's a lot of people. So if you have that mutation, you're kind of stuck then.
Well, not totally. This is where understanding your genetics is so cool. If you know you have this issue, you can do something about it. Like Brecka said, a simple supplement, trimethylglycine, TMG for short, can help.
Oh, interesting. TMG. Okay, I'm writing that down. Anything else?
This might surprise you. He's got a pretty strong opinion on folic acid. Folic acid.
Yeah, like the stuff you're supposed to take when you're pregnant, right?
Well, Brecka says it's actually synthetic. And a lot of people can't use it right because of that MTHFR mutation. He even compared it to, get this, cocaine for his 6-year-old.
Whoa. Okay, that's intense. So should we be avoiding folic acid then?
It's definitely something to think about. He suggests looking for organic foods, non-fortified stuff, or a methylfolate supplement. That's the good kind of folate your body can actually use.
Got it. Methylfolate, not folic acid. This is making me rethink a lot of healthy advice I've heard.
Me too. And it's not just heart stuff. Brecka also sees a connection between methylation and mental health, like anxiety. He thinks a lot of anxiety comes from actual physical imbalances, not just, in your head.
Yeah, like chemical imbalances and stuff. Right?
Yep. He's talking about too much adrenaline, the fight or flight stuff. And guess what? Methylation helps break those down.
So if your methylation's off, you could be doing all the right things for anxiety, like meditation or whatever, but still be struggling because of this underlying thing.
That's exactly what he's saying. It's not that those other things don't matter, but there might be this whole other layer.
So what can you do about it if that's the case?
Well, he suggests supplements, saying magnesium, those methylated B vitamins, but also all the other stuff. Sleep, stress management, exercise, it all plays a part.
Makes sense. Holistic approach, gotta tackle it from all angles. Speaking of tackling things, Brecka seems really big on vitamin D3.
Oh, yeah. He's, like, obsessed with it. He thinks chronic D3 deficiency is way more common than we realize. And get this, he says it often gets misdiagnosed as rheumatoid arthritis.
Wait, seriously? A vitamin deficiency mistaken for an autoimmune disease? How does that happen?
Remember, he's looked at tons of medical records, he sees patterns, and he's seen cases where people with low D3 were given, like, corticosteroids instead of just, taking some vitamin D.
That's kind of scary, huh? Getting strong meds when it could be something so simple.
Yeah, it is scary. It's like putting a Band-Aid on a bullet wound. Right?
Exactly. This is all so eye-opening, like, how many other things are we misinterpreting?
That's the million-dollar question. What if we've been looking at health all wrong?
Right. Maybe it's not just about accepting conditions and taking pills, but giving our bodies what they're actually missing.
It's a total paradigm shift. So we've got heart health, mental health, maybe even autoimmune stuff, all linked to this methylation thing. But what about the stuff we put in our bodies? Brecka has some strong opinions about certain foods. Like, he really hates seed oils. He's been pretty vocal about it online, even got into some hot water over it.
Yeah, I've heard about that. So what's the deal with seed oils? Why is he so against them?
He says the way they're processed is super harmful, like using hexane, deodorization, all these harsh processes. He thinks they mess with our cells, cause inflammation, all sorts of bad stuff.
So even though they're often marketed as healthy, he's saying they're actually the opposite.
Pretty much, and he's not the only one saying this. There are a lot of experts raising red flags about these oils.
Wow. Okay, so reading labels is even more important than I thought.
Yeah, got to be careful.
Yeah.
And speaking of things that are marketed as good but might not be, Brecka also has some strong words about fluoride.
Oh, fluoride. Yeah, that always seems to be a controversial topic.
Well, it's supposed to be good for teeth and all that. Brecka actually calls it a neurotoxin. He thinks it's harmful to our nervous system. He even compared putting fluoride in water to putting sunscreen in apples.
Okay, that's a pretty wild comparison, but I kind of get it. It's like we're adding stuff to things that don't need it.
Right, yeah. And he's all about a natural approach, like minimizing unnecessary chemicals whenever possible.
So less processed stuff, more natural stuff. Got it. But what about specific things we can DO? Besides just avoiding bad stuff?
He's a big advocate for those simple natural practices, getting sunlight, grounding, breath work, cold exposure. He thinks they're super beneficial, not just some trendy woo-woo stuff.
Yeah, like our ancestors used to do all that stuff, right? Before we had all this technology and stuff.
Exactly. Maybe we've gotten too far from those basic things.
Maybe so. It's definitely something to think about. And I know Brecka's also a big fan of red light therapy, right?
Oh, yeah, he loves it. Red light therapy, it uses specific wavelengths of light to basically stimulate your mitochondria, the powerhouses of the cells.
Yeah. So it's like giving your cells an energy boost.
That's the idea. And he says different wavelengths have different effects. Red light's good for reducing inflammation, healing, even skin health.
I've heard good things about it, but I'm still a bit skeptical. It almost sounds too good to be true.
Yeah, I get it. But there's actually a lot of research supporting it. And Brecka, get this, he even said his vision improved after using red light therapy without eye protection.
Wow, okay, that's pretty impressive. Maybe I need to look into this a little more.
Yeah, I think it's definitely worth exploring. Natural, non-invasive, potentially a lot of benefits.
I'm feeling overwhelmed in a good way. It's like a whole new world of possibilities.
I know what you mean. And this is just the beginning of what Brecka has to say. We're just scratching the surface.
It is a lot to take in. But it's like empowering, right? You can actually DO something about it. What I found interesting is Brecka's whole view of the body. Like it's one big system all connected, not just treating separate symptoms.
Yeah, like a web, right? Tug on one string, the whole thing moves. And that led him to those cool connections like the vitamin D3 and rheumatoid arthritis thing.
That one really got me thinking. Rheumatoid arthritis, we usually think autoimmune, right? But what if it's just like you need more vitamin D?
And as we said before, if they get misdiagnosed, they might end up on corticosteroids instead of just, popping a vitamin.
Right. And those corticosteroids, they can have some serious downsides. Joint damage, weak bones, even more prone to infections. It's not a good long-term solution.
Exactly. Treat the root cause, not just mask it. That's what I like about Brecka's approach. So much focus on natural stuff, lifestyle changes. Like, our bodies can heal if we give them the right tools.
I think that's key EY. We underestimate how resilient our bodies are. And that's where things like grounding, sunlight, even cold water immersion, those can make a difference.
I actually started taking cold showers a while back. And honestly, huge difference. Energy, mental clarity. I even look forward to them now.
That's awesome. See, it's those simple things sometimes. Cold water immersion, people have been doing it forever for a reason. It fights inflammation, boosts circulation, can even improve your mood, like hitting the reset button.
Love that. Reset button. Perfect way to put it.
Mm.
Brecka also talked about gut health, how methylation affects our digestion. He used the term gut motility. Ever heard of that?
Gut motility? Not really. Is it like how well your digestion, moves things along?
Exactly, like the muscle contractions that push food through your intestines.
Yeah.
He thinks a lot of food sensitivities, allergies, maybe they're not about the food itself, but how well it's moving through you.
Interesting. So even if you eat healthy, if your gut's not doing its job, you're still going to have problems.
Yep. And he suggested something kind of cool, that methylfolate, the good kind, can actually HELP gut motility.
Wow. Okay. So it's not just what you eat, but how well your body uses it. This is making me think I need to look into this methylation testing he talks about.
Like personalized health, right? Your own blueprint, not just guessing.
That's the power of it, tailored to you, not just general advice. And, Brecka also connects diet to mental and emotional stuff, not just physical, like how certain foods can mess with your anxiety or your sleep.
Yeah, he goes beyond the obvious, like too much coffee. He talked about unmetabolized folic acid, how that can make anxiety worse to mess with.
So even if you're trying to eat healthy, that fortified cereal could be working against you, especially if you have that MTHFR thing. It's crazy to think about.
I know, right? Food label suddenly got a whole lot more important. And speaking of food, we got to talk about those seed oils again. Brecka was really fired up about them, even got into it with the fact checkers online.
Yeah, he did not hold back. Why did he get so much pushback, do you think?
Well, his view is pretty strong. He thinks these processed oils like soybean, canola, they mess with our cells, cause inflammation. And it goes against what a lot of people believe.
It's like, who do you trust? There's so much conflicting info out there.
It's overwhelming. It's like we have to become investigators for our own health. Do the research, think critically.
Totally. Don't just blindly trust everything you hear. Brecka really encourages that, doesn't he? Question things.
Yeah, he's all about self-reliance, being proactive. Don't wait for someone to tell you what to do. Figure it out yourself. And he's big on using data, like blood work, genetic testing, to really see what's going on inside.
That's what I appreciate. He's not just going off feelings or anecdotes. He's looking at the hard evidence.
It's like, if you're not tracking, how do you know if what you're doing is working? You're just wandering around aimlessly.
Totally. Brecka reminds us health is a journey, not a destination. It's ongoing. You learn, you adjust, you listen to your body.
And sometimes that feedback is a headache or a bad night's sleep. But he says those are clues, not failures.
Right, like your body trying to tell you something. Don't just silence it with a pill. Figure out what it means.
Become a detective. That's the theme here. We're not victims. We have agency. We can make a difference.
Exactly. Brecka gives us the tools, the knowledge. It's about taking ownership of your health and building that vibrant well-being. And, he also talked about how our obsession with comfort might be making us age faster. Like, avoiding discomfort actually makes us weaker.
That's so interesting. We think we're doing ourselves a favor, right? Avoiding stress.
Rare.
But maybe we're missing out on something important.
Yeah, like our bodies are meant to be challenged. We need stress, the right kind of stress, to grow stronger.
So it's about finding that balance, right?
Yeah.
Challenge, but not overwhelm. That's where things like cold showers, exercise, even fasting, they can be beneficial.
Controlled stress, like giving your body a workout, not just your muscles. And Brecka also talks about detoxifying, like being careful with tap water, minimizing environmental toxins. It's bigger than just food, right? It's about everything around us.
Living clean, not just eating clean. I love that. It's easy to forget about all the other stuff that impacts our health.
Totally. The products we use, the air, the water, it all adds up. And he says our bodies are constantly working to get rid of these toxins. It's like a never-ending battle.
So we got to support those detox processes, right? Exercise, sauna, even something like dry brushing can help.
It's like giving your body a helping hand. This is all so much, but it's exciting. Brecka's approach really makes you feel like you can take control, understand how things work.
It's empowering, not feeling helpless in the face of, getting older and all that.
Exactly. And he reminds us health isn't just not being sick, it's about truly thriving, feeling good, energized, ready for anything.
Couldn't have said it better. So what do you think about the methylation test? Everyone get one.
I think it's valuable, for sure. It gives you that personalized info, so you're not just guessing about your diet, supplements, all that.
Like your own personalized health manual. And Brecka also talks about individualized hormone therapy, optimizing levels based on your needs, not just some generic chart.
Hormones are so important, and they're different for everyone. It makes sense to tailor it, right? Not a one-size-fits-all approach.
Exactly. Like trying to cram everyone's feet into the same shoes, it's just not going to work. And he mentioned putting Dana White on personalized hormone therapy too, along with all the other stuff.
Right, and it seems like that combo is key for White's success. It's not just about one thing, it's about the synergy, how everything works together.
The whole is greater than the sum of its parts, right? Diet, supplements, lifestyle, hormones, it all interacts. What I really appreciate is Brecka's emphasis on asking questions, not just accepting things blindly.
Yeah, that questioning mindset is so important. Don't be afraid to challenge the status quo, think for yourself. Because what works for one person might not work for another.
He's like, don't just believe me, go find out for yourself.
Yeah.
That's how we learn, how we grow.
Totally. And Brecka also has that respect for, ancient wisdom. He talks about how we've lost touch with practices that kept our ancestors healthy.
Like we've gotten too modern, too disconnected from nature. And maybe that's part of the problem.
Maybe so. We try to control everything, but maybe we need to work with nature more.
Back to basics. Sunshine, fresh air, all that good stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And he also talks about mindfulness, self-awareness, paying attention to your body, the signals it's sending.
Not just physical symptoms, right? But thoughts, emotions, energy levels, the whole picture.
It's like knowing yourself inside and out. What makes you feel good? What drains you? What are your patterns?
And that self-awareness helps you make better choices, right? You understand what you need, what works for you.
It's about creating a life that actually supports you, not just physically, but mentally, emotionally, even spiritually. It's holistic, just like Brecka's approach.
Well said. It's not just about living longer, it's about living better.
Feeling good, feeling alive. That's what it's all about. One thing that struck me is how Brecka doesn't treat aging like the enemy. It's natural, it happens, but we have more control over how we age than we think.
That's such a good point. We often just accept it as inevitable, something we can't change. But what if we can influence it by making healthy choices throughout our lives?
It's never too late to start taking care of yourself.
Right.
No matter how old you are or what your health is like now, you can always make changes that move you in a better direction.
He's right. It's never too late. And it's not just about how long you live, it's about the quality of those years.
Exactly. Feeling good, being active, enjoying life, no matter your age. It's about embracing the journey, making the most of every day.
Beautifully said. That's a great message to leave people with.
Thinking about Brecka and Dana White, it kind of shows you don't need to be like a millionaire to make these changes.
Right. Dana White's a busy guy, but he still found ways to fit in those simple things Brecka talks about. Sunlight, grounding, all that.
And those are free. No gym membership, no fancy gadgets.
Exactly. Small changes done consistently can make a huge difference over time.
I keep coming back to this, but it's just wild to think. The stuff we think is just getting old, aches, low energy, what if it's just our bodies missing something?
It really makes you question everything, right? Like, what if aging isn't just this inevitable decline? What if we have more control than we think?
Maybe we can age gracefully, stay vibrant longer. It's hopeful, isn't it?
It is. It's about taking charge, not being passive.
Instead of, oh, well, I'm getting old, it's, what can I do about this?
Right. And Brecka gives us the tools. Look at natural solutions. Make those lifestyle changes. Your body wants to heal.
I'm seriously thinking of getting that methylation test done. And maybe trying that red light therapy.
I think those are great steps. The more you know about your body, the better choices you can make.
Like unlocking a cheat code for your health.
Exactly. And not just about living longer, but living better, feeling good at any age.
This deep dive has been amazing. I feel like I have a whole new playbook for my health.
Me too. It's been a fascinating journey. I hope our listeners are feeling inspired too.
I hope so. And, who knows? Maybe we can all feel a bit of that Dana White transformation. More energy, more vibrancy, no matter how old we are.
That's a great goal. It's not about looking younger. It's about feeling younger, having that zest for life.
Love that. Well, that's a wrap for our methylation deep dive. It's been a blast.
It has. Thanks for having me.
And to everyone listening, you have more power than you think. Question everything. Explore. Find what works for you. Your health is your journey, and it starts with taking that first step.